All right, you're live, guys. Good morning. Hello, everyone. This is Karen from Goats with Horns Animal Sanctuary on Real-Time Animal Rescue. I forget where I am sometimes. Just give us a moment. We're still getting set up. All right.
Lots of friends joining us this morning.
Yep. Have fun today. All right. How's everybody doing? Hi, Gibby. All right. Turn this a little bit. Oh, I don't think it turns that way. Darn it. Okay. Are we ready? Are we ready, guys?
Ready.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for joining us. I'm Karen
I'm Courtney.
I'm Johnny.
from Goats with Horns Animal Sanctuary on Real-Time Animal Rescue. And today, well, first we want to say Happy New Year to everybody. It might even be the second day of the year for some of you around the globe, but for us, today is the first year of January 2024, first day. And this past week, I went through about our past year's worth of social media, and just kind of jotted down some notable events so we can kind of reflect on everything we dealt with this past year, the good stuff, the bad stuff. And what I realized was when you're in this kind of work, rescue sanctuaries and stuff, there's always something. There's always something going on. And sometimes you don't get really a chance to grieve animals you've lost or, revel in the happy moments. It's just you're in the moment, you deal with what's happening right there. And then you just have to move on to the next thing. So I thought it'd be really cool to kind of go back and just reflect on everything we did this year. And so we've got Thomas right here. We've got Gibby. Gibby's giving Johnny a back rub. Oh, wait. Okay. So you guys are poor backwards. You know,
Right?
Yeah. I
look like Courtney.
All right. So let's get started. You guys have anything you want to add while we're getting started?
No, just like Karen said, we just want to thank you for, watching, for tuning in, for those of you who have, sent donations and maybe followed us on social media. It takes a village to, work in rescue and work in sanctuaries, and everybody's job is important. And if you don't maybe live close to a sanctuary, or maybe you just don't have the time, you have a demanding job, family life, whatever it is, not everybody is able to volunteer like we all can, but there's still something you can do, whether it's liking posts on social media. Maybe you can maybe you only have $5 extra a month, but you want to send it to your favorite sanctuary. You could maybe at Christmas time donating old towels to rescues. There's always, something you can do. You don't have to feel like you have to do it all. It's not all or nothing. Every little bit of help adds up.
That is true. Anything you'd like to add? One of our newer volunteers.
Yeah, hi. Just thank you for tuning in. Thank you for supporting. Just viewing this now is support. Tuning in. But I think to what Courtney said, any bit counts. Whether you're donating, something that a sanctuary can use, whether it's $5 or $500, or just support your local sanctuaries. Support sanctuaries any way you can.
Cool. All right, so let's get to it. 2023. I think we all kind of thought, oh, it was a pretty easy year, but not so much. So we started out January. Oh, thanks, Bruce. This is still on? All right, hold on here.
This chain.
Rats. I think we lost it. Tap to, okay, guys, here we go. Oh boy, oh boy. So, real-time animal rescue, real life. Zeusy just came over and tossed my camera on the ground. So we're back. All right, are we all in the picture here? Okay, 2023. So as you can see here, we live in Arizona. It's very dry. It's very wet here today. It's been very wet we started off last year with, last winter we had a lot of rain. So, this place was just wet and damp like all the time. So let's start with January. Lots of rain, very cold, dismal, dreary weather. But our girl Peanut Buttercup, the goat, she turned 5 years old. Now, most of the time in rescue, you don't know birthdays, but was she born here?
No.
Okay, she was born just before she was rescued, correct?
So her mom is Princess Buttercup, who was just here, but when Princess Buttercup was rescued years ago, a little over 5 years ago, or I guess it will be 6 years ago, they didn't know when they rescued her that she was pregnant. So just a few weeks after Princess was rescued, she went into labor with Peanut Buttercup. So she luckily has only ever known, kindness and love. She was never born in a horrible place.
So we actually know her birthday. So Peanut Buttercup turned 5 years old back in January. And then turns out we had Giuseppe, the rooster, and the ducks, Elvis and Liberace. They used to free range kind of out here in the bird area. If you've followed us in the past, we've got a separate area for the chickens and the turkeys, and 2 ducks used to kind of free range out there. And we had an issue last year where Giuseppe was like squabbling with the duck. They were like fighting, and we were trying to
And the ducks
having to
would
keep them,
chase him,
and trying to keep them separate. And I can't really remember how we resolved that issue.
We would kind of try to get the ducks and Giuseppe on separate parts of the property. So we would try to, chase the ducks back over to the chicken side, and so that Giuseppe would be out in the field, or vice versa. If the ducks were out in the field, and we would try to make Giuseppe the rooster go back over to the chicken side, because they would just chase him like crazy, try to pull his feathers out, and it was just horrible.
Yeah. So then in February, Gilbert turned 11.
Yeah, Gilbert is our little pygmy-go.
He's all black,
and
blue eyes.
yes,
handsome.
Very handsome. We like to joke around. I don't even remember how the whole joke got started, but we like to say he's Scottish. He speaks like Sean Connery. He's a little Scottish gentleman, and he is. He's such a well-behaved goat. He was rescued by the same people that turned out to rescue Princess and inevitably Peanut.
So yeah, again, rare to know their birthdays, but yep, Gilbert turned 11, and then we had an unfortunate situation. So one of the ducks we just talked about, Liberace, he was attacked by a predator. And I guess that might be partially how the whole ducks and Giuseppe fighting was resolved. Because of that incident, we did take the other duck into a stall. We think what an owl. Yeah, an owl had got him. So no more birds out at night. Chickens get cooped, and because of that, Elvis now stays in a stall.
Yeah, so it was a little bit of an emergency situation. We had to suddenly come up with the funds to get 2 large coops built immediately, because owls had moved in. There's a lot of construction in the area. It's not, of course, not the owl's fault. It probably lost its home or its hunting ground, but he or she, that owl, moved into the neighborhood and picked off 3 of our birds. And the first one we thought was a fluke. The second one, we were like, oh gosh, I wonder if it's the same one. Of course, we don't know for sure, but it made sense. We could hear an owl in a big pine tree out front. And all of a sudden, like I said, it was an emergency. We didn't have coops for all the birds, and the birds were used to roosting and going in a random bush or tree or on the fence. They all kind of slept wherever they wanted. And all of a sudden we're like, okay, we need to suddenly train almost 20 chickens to go into a coop each night. And we needed to get that coop built fast. We needed multiple.
Unfortunately, they do. They just put themselves to bed at night, and then we can just come out and lock the door behind them until the morning.
Yeah, the first few days was hard because they weren't used to it. So we'd have to chase them around. It would take Michelle and her son like an hour to lock up all the chickens and get them safe, sometimes more. And that was with multiple people. But like Karen said, they train themselves now. They go in every night.
And the other reason, I think that Elvis had tried to fight off the attacker because he had a little limp right after that incident, but he's fine now. So let's get to March. The big event in March was our little accidental baby turned 1, Chicolette. You want to talk on that?
Sure, I can do that. Yeah, she's great. She's getting big. She's getting nice and thick.
Yeah.
She's clearly only seen love. She was born here on the sanctuary.
Yep. Johnny was instrumental in rescuing her dad, Chico.
Yeah, we got Chico, and of course, goats, took him in, and I'm sure some of you guys know the story, or all of you guys know the story, but he got out of a pen, and sometime later, then Chicolette came out, and she was unexpected, but very loved in the community. She's doing great.
Yep. So she'll be 2 soon, couple months. She'll be 2 years old. Yeah, she's great. So April, the vet came in April to do some hoof trims, and Snowy had been, I remember Snowy, he was getting skinny and he just didn't seem right. So we asked her to take a look at him, and she said, these goats have lice. And I said, what? So that started the whole goat lice treatment. We had to give, Snowy was treated right there on the spot, and then we had to treat all of the goats, every 2 weeks for a while. And that's really fun, trying to round up goats. Some of them don't want to be held, but we did pull that off. We finally eradicated the lice. Snowy's took a little while to get rid of because he was so infested. And we also, I think, we took his collar off because I think we thought maybe that there was something going on with his collar. Maybe they were burrowing under the collar, because it just took forever to get rid of Snowy's, but we did finally eradicate that. So that was good.
And one little interesting thing is that they were specific goat lice.
Yeah.
Like we were all like, oh my gosh, do we have lice now? Do the other animals? But for whatever
get them, we
reason,
can get them.
Yeah, there are different species of lice, and some will go on any mammal, but these goat lice, luckily, I mean, not good for the goats, of course, and we're sad that it happened to them. But the good part is that it didn't get on the pigs. It didn't affect us. We didn't have to, suit up just to give them their treatment or to feed them. It didn't get the cows, anything like that. So.
Yeah, you guys saw, we did some live streaming on that, Snowy getting baths and stuff like that. And then a happy moment was the Thepper wedding. So we had a fun little fundraiser, we call them, a wedding between 2 chickens, Thelma and Pepper. Thelma was kind of like a special needs chicken, and then Pepper, used to run around the yard here. He went down for some reason. He went in the house, he got fixed up, he came back out, and now all of a sudden he and Giuseppe are fighting, where they coexisted for years. So I said, well, maybe Pepper wants to be a yard chicken and be Thelma's boyfriend. And it was a love connection right from the start. Mm-hmm. So we hosted a fundraiser where we had an actual wedding between the 2 chickens, but it was really fun. It was great. And we did the chicken dance. Oh, yes. Yes. Can't have a chicken wedding without doing the chicken dance.
One of the most beautiful weddings I've been to.
And then right after that, we noticed Zeus was not feeling right. And then right after that, we noticed Snowy again wasn't feeling right. So it turned out Zeus had ileitis. You want to talk on that a little bit?
Yeah, so we thought that it was maybe a blockage. We thought he actually went in for emergency surgery, but the surgeon was like, no, he actually doesn't have a blockage, when they were able to do better imaging. But yeah, it started, he was laying in the field. He wouldn't come eat, and he was just like groaning. Zeus is one of our potbelly pigs, and he's just like laying there groaning. I can't make good animal sounds, but we could tell, he's like, this is what I sound like. Right, what are you doing? But yeah, he was just crying and just laying there, and basically it turned out to be ileitis, like Karen said, and it's similar to like IBS in humans. So it's like severe inflammation in his intestines. So after we found that out, so then for a while we were giving him watered down prune juice or apple juice each day. And then we moved to canned pumpkin, just because even though we watered down the juice, it's still a lot of sugar. But basically we just needed to keep things moving in his intestines and through his digestive tract so that the inflammation couldn't build up again. So.
He did recover from that, and simultaneously something was off with Snowy, and turned out he had goat polio, which is actually a vitamin B1 deficiency. Apparently goats produce the B1 in their digestive systems, but if their digestive systems get out of whack and they're not producing it, they can get this goat polio and go blind. So Snowy had gone blind. So we had the blind goat and this pig with the ileitis all at the same time. Snowy went on some major injections of vitamin B1, thiamine. We were doing the red cell, which was like, what was the red cell?
I think that was trying to build his iron back up because
Yeah.
he had such severe anemia.
So fortunately, after all of that treatment, Snowy recovered. So that was good. Also in April was when we started live streaming on Real Time Animal Rescue. So if you're just tuning in, we're Karen, Johnny, and Courtney from Goats with Horns Animal Sanctuary on Real Time Animal Rescue, and we're almost halfway through our year in review. So it turns out May was a quiet month. I did not find anything notable in our social media about May.
No news sometimes is good.
No news is always good news. June, really the only notable thing that happened was, our founder Michelle was able to take a vacation and leave town for 2 weeks. And all the volunteers, we had a spreadsheet and everything of shifts, and we covered everything for 2 weeks. And she was able to Gibby. Gibby is no.
Not that one.
Gibby, no. Stop.
That would be the
No.
best
Gibby, no, stop.
That's the whole,
Gibby, stop.
that's the whole thing, dude.
Gibby, stop. Gibby, no, stop.
There you go. Nice. You gotta replace that somehow.
It's not just a stereotype. Goats do like to chew on paper and all kinds of random items.
Oh,
So you got
Gibby.
to see that. in
Well,
real
let him eat
life.
that. You might
Gibby.
want to put that, sit on it. All right, Gibby. Was that tasty for you? So anyhow, so June for 2 weeks, our founder was able to go out of town and have a vacation. Sometimes, a lot of times people that run sanctuaries and rescues, they can't ever break away. So we were actually, it was a really good, nice gift that we could give to her, that we could all band together and take care of the animals and take care of the sanctuary for 2 weeks. So that was end of June, and cue July 1st. July, we had this summer, you guys heard it a million times.
We were constantly
Record-breaking
complaining about
temperatures, breaking 50-year-old records. So
Yeah.
starting in July, I feel like our whole summer kind of was a whirlwind. We were just in a tizzy all summer because the chickens don't tolerate this heat very well. No, let's put that, just put it out. Those are important papers. So like the whole summer was like, we were all in a tizzy all summer because it was hot. It was so hot. Like we were, brain dead, and the chickens don't tolerate the heat well. The chickens were going down, going in the house, recovering, coming back out. We had built, we call them redneck air conditioners. We built these kind of cooling systems out of coolers. We had fans, we had misters. We were, everybody was rotating ice packs every 3 hours, just in an effort to keep the chickens, quite frankly, just alive.
We had a family who donated a whole second freezer for us so that we could constantly be having an area to, rotate those ice packs and get them frozen again because one freezer couldn't keep up. And it was over 30 days of 110 plus degrees, no relief from that for over 30 days. I can't remember now. I was trying to look it up in Celsius when we were doing those live streams, since I know some of you guys are from different parts of the world, but obviously that was a Fahrenheit, but still 110 for 30 days straight. It was everything we could do to keep everyone alive. And like Karen said, many of us would get heat exhaustion. It was literally every couple hours, somebody would have to be coming out to check on them throughout the day. And like she said, the animals would have to sometimes be brought into the house because they were overheating. It was rough.
Yep, that was July. We had 2 of our turkeys disappeared, then reappeared. I wrote down.
They had gone off to nest somewhere when, so chickens, they lay eggs like almost every day, or they've been bred to, whereas turkeys still have their natural laying cycle. So they lay in the spring and early summer. And when they do, they will disappear because they don't know that, their eggs are not fertile. And so they're convinced that their eggs are going to hatch. And so they go and hide their nest somewhere and wait for the eggs to hatch. And so they were gone for a while. And they eventually came back, but it was like, oh my gosh, how many turkeys have you guys seen? And because we should have 5.
Yeah.
And
that was that started when Michelle was gone. I remember coming here and being like, oh, we're supposed to have 5 turkeys.
yeah, so we were like walking through the canal on the back of the property trying to search. We thought, we were worried that maybe a predator had gotten one of the turkeys. I remember walking the canal at one point and I saw it must have been like a pigeon or a dove that had been killed, probably just from a feral cat. But I see this pile of feathers from far down the canal. And I was like, oh my gosh, I thought, one of the turkeys had been killed. They could have been hit by a car. You hear those horror stories of, humans actually stealing animals from sanctuaries. That happened to another sanctuary that we follow. They lost one of their turkeys to humans. And then another sanctuary that same summer that same month while we were kind of worried, they had an attempted break-in. They were alerted. They got woken up overnight, and there was like a cage out there in their field. So obviously somebody had come to try to capture an animal and steal it and take it away, but they must have gotten spooked or they heard something. So they left their cage and ran. But so we were kind of really scared, and we started focusing more on security here. We do have more security precautions. It's a good thing that we're more secure, but it's also sad. It's unfortunate that we have to. But now we have locks on every gates. We have cameras.
Yep. So that was, that was nice to see those turkeys reappear. That was also when Talia started with the goat electrolytes. Even, these guys tolerate the temperatures pretty well, but, with Snowy, he was kind of, he was recovered, but he was on the older side and he wasn't having a great summer, and Gibby. So then we started with the goat electrolytes. So it was just, there was a lot of extra work this summer. But boy, they love those electrolytes.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
They would be like chasing us. We would be carrying like gallons, like literally like a gallon in each hand and a bowl, and they'd be crowding around, all trying to get a slurp. And it's almost like they knew what they needed, because a few of the animals we would try to give it to them and they didn't want it. And it was usually those like the younger animals, like that are probably, when you're young and strong and healthy, maybe the heat isn't quite as hard on you. But all the older animals, or the skinnier animals, that it's probably the heat's probably taking more out of their bodies. They're like, oh my gosh, just slurping it down. I always would try to give a little bit to Gilbert, the guy who turned 11, because he kind of has like a dry cough. He doesn't have pneumonia or anything, but he does. We do notice that he sometimes gets a little cough. So we're like, oh, let's give him some electrolytes. And you probably saw us talking about the electrolytes this summer, but it was just a mixture of, salts, baking soda, and molasses.
Yeah. Also in July, we had, we just fostered a couple of goats. They kind of stopped here for a couple of weeks in between their previous home and their new sanctuary. So those 2 guys, they moved on to another lovely sanctuary here in town, and they're doing great.
Oh, it's Freed Spirits.
Yeah. Nicholas and Rocky, I named them, but I think they've been renamed since. So let's get on to August. Half of August is now in Gibby's stomach. So August, that was when Elvis, the duck, got his botulism case.
So if you go back through our playlist, you'll see some real updates on that. You'll see, I think one was called like botulism is no joke. There were a couple updates on that. Botulism has a very high fatality rate. So we even lost a duck to that in the prior year. So, to be honest, not to be negative, but we weren't really that hopeful. We were just trying to do everything we could. And thankfully it paid off.
He recovered.
And he recovered.
Yep.
But you might have seen the one video, and we're like trying to, force charcoal down him. And, his little beaks, he's getting mad, and charcoal's everywhere all over us. But we were just so overjoyed to see him. He could stand up. We're like, oh my gosh, he can stand, because botulism attacks the nervous system. And that's usually the first sign, is they can't stand. And then it just slowly works its way up, and then it paralyzes the lungs so that they can't breathe. And then obviously they perish. So luckily he didn't.
We have some happy moments from August. We participated in the goat games this year.
Yeah.
So the goat games is put on by Catskill Animal Sanctuary. And this year, the format was just an online fundraising competition between other sanctuaries. So I think we partnered up with 16 or 17 other sanctuaries from around the country. And we just we just hit it real hard with the donations and the funds and whatnot. And I think we raised about $3,000, but you know, we didn't come in first place or anything, but it was actually our first year, so it was cool. It was like a cool learning experience. So now we know what to expect for next year. So I think we'll definitely get in on that again next year, but that was fun. Let's see. Oh, Stanley, our rooster, who has to remain cooped at all times, he got a really sweet upgrade to his coop this past summer. So that was nice back in August. So he's got like a chicken condo all to himself now. I did feature that on a live stream a couple of weeks ago. This Stan the man cave. Let's see what else happened. Oh, that was the month we did, no, that was probably September. We did have some really sad things happen in August as well. So we talked about the chickens and the heat. Unfortunately, one of our longtime chickens, Cookies, she succumbed to the heat. But there was something about that, like she was supposed to see the vet, and they were like, "Oh no, she'll be fine," and she wasn't fine. So unfortunately, she did not make it. She was.
Yeah, we thought she had was it sauerkraut or
Yeah.
She was having some health issue, and Michelle was talking to the vet, and she was like, she needs to get in now, and that was like, she'll be fine. Like you got to wait a couple days, it's fine, and she didn't
wasn't fine. So that was Cookies, and then Snowy was acting odd one day, and Michelle called the vet, and she said, "You guys need to get over there right away. It's the end for him. He's going to have to be euthanized today." So we all did. We dropped everything we were doing. Courtney was here with him while he passed. Some of the other volunteers were here. They gave him the most beautiful fruit salad and all the loves and kisses in the world. I had been here earlier that day, and I noticed, I said, something not right. So I flew over here and I told Courtney, I said, if it's his time, just, don't wait for me. I do have to say goodbye to him. So by the time I had gotten here, he had passed, and I gave him lots of hugs and kisses goodbye. And then, these are one of those moments where you don't really get to grieve properly when these things happen. Because like I said, you just turn around the next day and you're on to the next thing. But Snowy was here for a long time, and he was such a character. He was such a loving, affectionate goat. I mean, he would be jealous if you were giving affection to somebody. He would come and charge them off, and he was beautiful. He was a big white
Alpine Saanen goat, huge horns, and
just big, beautiful boy. And it's just all happened so sudden. He went through all this stuff. He had lice, we got him through that. He had polio, we got him through that. And then just one day, I'm like, oh, it doesn't seem right. And by the end of the day, he was gone. And like I said, the next day you wake up and you just go back to, there's all that you have to take care of the ones that are still here, and you don't really get a chance to just sit back and cry about it, and so that was tough, losing Snowy. That was a big one this year. And then shortly after that, Poppy, the chicken, a few days later, maybe a week later, she succumbed to the heat. And Poppy personally was my favorite chicken, not my favorite chicken ever, but at the time, she, I always have I call it a lap chicken. It's always one little chicken that I bond with, that I can scoop up and kiss them and hug them and hold them on my lap. And she was my lap chicken at the time, and she was a really cool chicken. Her two sisters are still here that she came with, but I don't have a lap chicken right now.
Pie Pie is a half lap.
Yeah, Pie Pie and Kiki will let me occasionally, but so we lost that. Cookies, Snowy, Poppy, and then shortly after that, Stan started with his foot and feather issues. So that was constant, cleaning and wrapping of the foot and the supplements, and
you
guys did a lot.
And he had bird lice, and he was so stressed that he was pulling his own feathers out. So he was going through a molt as well, but then pulling out his feathers, and he would just lay. It was so sad. Stan is, like we said, unfortunately, he's so sassy and ultra protective that he's not safe for any other roosters or even humans to be around. But normally, so you go into his coop to give him food or water. It's oh gosh, we had another door. We had to separate and push him back, and no, but he would run away, and he would just be laying there, and we're like, what is going on? So
yeah, because I would only see him maybe once or twice a week, and I'd come and I was, oh my God, he looks terrible, but he's again, back to his old feisty self. Like I said, I featured him a couple weeks ago. He looks good. He definitely feels better because if we try to go in there, he's back to his old feisty self. So that was September, actually. I skipped because, again, Gibby ate my notes here. So September. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. And a fun thing that we did in September was we did a Facebook auction and partnered with a local cat rescue called HART, H-A-R-T, Homeless Animals Rescue Team. So we did the Facebook auction where, we list items and people bid on them, and whoever is the higher bidder gets to win it. I think we split
it 50-50. Yeah.
50-50 with that rescue team, because they do some really great work around here. Okay, Chicolette, let's see. So October, somebody hacked our Facebook account and stole it. So unfortunately, Goats with Horns had to start a whole new Facebook account because this one is unrecoverable. We went from over 3,000 followers on Facebook. We are currently at a little over 300. So I have included the links to our Facebook or Instagram in the description. If you so feel like it, please give us a follow, give us some likes, give us some shares. We need to build that following back up because, sanctuaries, nonprofits rely on followers and donations to survive. So, yeah, that made us very angry.
Yeah.
Very angry. And then shortly after that, let's see. Oh, so that was the time Kiki all of a sudden had these crazy vision issues, and then she had to go back in the house again.
Mm-hmm.
You want to talk on that one?
Yeah, we noticed that Kiki, one of our newer to the sanctuary hens, really sweet old girl. It was like she couldn't see, and we thought that maybe it was her time because she was like around 8, right?
She's 9. Actually, yeah. Her mom stopped by the other day.
So that's fairly old for a hen, and we thought, okay, maybe she's dying. Like she wasn't eating well, she was just acting weird. She had like tiny bit of a twitch. We're like, okay, maybe something neurological, and but her previous owners, they still love her and care for her and do still come to visit her, and they recommended some certain foods and grains that she really loved, and so they brought her some of that, and she lived inside for a great deal of the time because it was still hot then, and then Michelle would bring her out in the yard so that she could still have her outside time, but that way she didn't have to deal with the heat, and she didn't have to sleep with all the other chickens. Just try to get as much TLC and one-on-one attention and make sure she was eating and drinking. And then like I said, we kind of thought like, okay, she may be passing away, this is her time, and then she's kind of pulled through that and is back to her normal happy self.
She's doing good. And then about that time is about when you came on as a more regular volunteer.
Yeah.
You want to speak on that for a moment?
Yeah, I mean, just all I could say is my personal experience. It's been, therapeutic, and it's just
Johnny is very involved in animal activism, and I told him, I said, this is a good way for you to see the fruits of your labor. Like, you save all these animals, you get to see the other side and how they get to live, right?
Right. Yes, it's there's lots of different aspects to, animal rights and just doing work. But it never really occurred to me to do sanctuary work and, be hands-on with these animals that are rescued. So for me personally, it's just been very therapeutic. It's been it's like the reset button for me every time I come. So, I mean, dare I say it's addicting, but it kind of is. It just you're giving back to the community, but I mean, it's kind of a selfish reason. I do it for me. It just makes me feel really good, and so grateful that it's what, like 15 minutes away from my house. So super close.
And we've made some really good connections, socially, like through this. This group here, actually, all of the volunteers, we're all very, very close. Like, we're like a family. it's funny that you said that you do it. It's like a little selfish because people always say to me, you know, when I post or talk about this, they're like, "Oh, you're such a good person. Oh, I can't. You just," and I go, "I don't. This is for me." I mean, it's not, but you know, it's very therapeutic for me. This is my quiet time, my downtime. It's my gym. It's my sanity. You know, just being out here with the animals. Like it's so peaceful and they're just so pure. The animals are just so pure, and to see these type of animals like living how they want to live as opposed to how they normally are treated is kind of a beautiful thing. So thank you for joining the team.
I love it. When I'm here, it's also kind of humbling because you think, you know, wow, there's dozen animals or more here, probably more, right?
Yeah, so we've known Johnny probably about a little over 2 years because he rescued Chico and connected with us and brought Chico to the property, and we had met. So, you know, you've been coming and come to the fundraisers and drop by occasionally, but we sucked him in on a regular basis.
But it is humbling because it's like you realize this is like a drop in the bucket. I mean, there's, you know, hundreds of millions of animals out there that don't get, you know, the pampering and the loving that all these babies in here get. So it's true. It's therapeutic, but at the same time, it's like, wow, there's so much more work to do. So again, we encourage anybody watching and, you know, if you're not already active in animal sanctuary, to do so. And if you are, to encourage others to do it. It's posted on social media, promote your local, animal sanctuaries because it's only gonna, you know, contribute and help that community.
Yeah, when as Courtney said earlier, sometimes it's just as simple as sharing posts or liking posts, or you know, it's not, or you know, you don't have to make it. You know, you're like for me, it's I'm here twice a week. She's here more than twice a week. You know, he's here 1, 2, 3 times a week. We're here a lot, but you don't have to do that. Give a couple hours a month. You know, you don't have to give $1,000. You can give $1 because if you know somebody's sanctuaries has 3,000 followers, everybody give $1. That's $3,000. So it can seem overwhelming at times, but every little bit helps, right? But yeah, I'm really glad that I found this particular sanctuary because the people, like the connections I've made here are just wonderful. Okay, so that's October. November. Let's see. Oh, November we had our bingo fundraiser / pumpkin smash. And that was a really fun night. Did you come to that?
I did.
Okay, yeah, you were at bingo. You know, we hold bingo, you know, everybody buys in the cards for a couple dollars. We have raffles, we have like a little gift table, and this, you know, around Halloween time, we request that people donate their pumpkins, you know, if they're not painted or don't have candle wax or they're not rotted or anything. And one of our volunteers found like some little farm or something nearby just had piles and piles of pumpkins. At the church, piles and piles of pumpkins. So she came with a trunk load. So, you know, before we started the bingo portion of the evening, everybody just tossed pumpkins out into the field for the animals.
A little contest to see who could throw
it the farthest or break it the best or whatever. And so then we went on and had our bingo fundraiser. And that was really great. And then Courtney got to come in the morning and deal with the aftermath of that.
And Miss Norma Jean, our Holstein cow, had enjoyed the pumpkin smash a little too much. And she had eaten a few too many pumpkins and she was pretty sick. But it was less than 24 hours. It was just basically a severe case of indigestion. She had diarrhea. She was crying. She didn't want to eat. And that, if you have tuned in before, or you just know a cow or something, like cows are never shy around food. So especially Norma Jean, we say she's like a vacuum cleaner. She sucks up so much food so quickly. The other animals don't even have time to get enough. So she actually eats separately from the other animals in the morning. But yeah, it was really sad to see her, you know, not want to eat. And we tried to make her like this mix with a bunch of probiotics and I think we mixed up some electrolytes and things like that for her. And she wouldn't even drink that. And I think later Michelle kind of forced some some of the probiotic paste, or she noticed that she maybe had drank some or eaten a little bit of hay to kind of bind things up in her tummy. And like I said, it was less than 24 hours and she was back to feeling fine.
And it is funny because I think almost always when something's wrong, it's somebody won't eat.
Yeah.
Like with Zeus, he wouldn't eat his cookie. With Snowy that morning, he wouldn't eat. Like if they're not eating, clearly something's wrong. So also, and I just want to say hello to those of you that have commented so far. Thanks for joining us. Let's see. Oh, so also in November, one of our man cave feral cats, Houdini, he developed stomatitis. So he went to the vet and he had all of his teeth removed. That's, I think, the only cure. The only thing you can do with stomatitis. And then his feral cat, Bunny, she's probably going to have hers done. She's still doing okay now, but it looks like she's got it too. They're like, these cats are seriously feral. I featured them before. Like, I don't even know how they get captured and get to the vet, but so he's doing well now. They're on special food. It's a little bit smaller size kibble.
Like, basically like kitten food.
Yep. And then they also eat wet food. So he's actually doing quite well. I saw a post a couple days ago, him just bouncing around the man cave playing with a cat toy. So he's actually fully recovered from that and he's doing well. I came over here on Thanksgiving morning to do a live stream about the turkeys, and Azalea, we have 4 out here and the 5th one's been out in the yard, and I'm like, let's go get Azalea, bring her out, let's feature her on this live stream. Well, she was hiding under a bush on top of a clutch of eggs, and she was skinny, dirty, starving. And we brought her out here, and I tried to have her involved on the Thanksgiving live stream, but she just marched right back out to the yard. And then we destroyed the eggs, brought her back out, and she wasn't really getting along with her turkeys that she's lived with. They were kind of bullying her for food. She was put into a pen by herself with a heat lamp and all kinds of supplemental food. She was like filthy. She had lost tons of feathers. She went through this molt, and it's like way too cold right now for her to be molting like that. So we tried to have her in a pen with like special stuff. And I guess somebody, opened the door and she got out, and we tried to put her back in, but I didn't want to stress her out. So fortunately, she's actually doing quite well. She's her feathers are starting to grow back. She's put some weight back on. She's getting along with everybody. And she's cleaned up. So far, so good. Azalea is doing much better. Oh yeah, and then we had another Facebook auction in November where we featured mostly like holiday goodies. And that went pretty well because that was post losing all of her followers. I don't know, how much do you think that one brought in?
I don't know, but it was, we know that it
wasn't as large.
It wasn't,
maybe like a third.
Yeah, because normally, like Karen mentioned, we had thousands of followers and a lot of people bidding on items, and we had, now that we only have a couple hundred followers after our Facebook account was hacked and stolen from us, and we had to start fresh. All of a sudden, we don't know, where, we didn't have as many people to, people weren't bidding on things. They didn't know about the auction because they weren't, following our new page, or, they weren't able to, see it. And so it's just that was sad and frustrating. Whereas normally, like, especially like a hot item, like some fun holiday game would usually have, 15 bids and people going back and forth. We would have like bidding one wars. Or two. And at the end, there were even items that nobody had bid on.
Yep. Just not normal.
Yeah.
So we're hoping to regain that. That should be a good goal this year, is to regain followers. So that's November. Let's get on to December. December, so Miss Esperanza here, you might be able to see her son turned 3, Suerte. He also was not born here on the property, but do you know the actual day of the birth? Or are we kind of going by like the day he came? Because he was only a couple days old. Yeah, he literally came here like a couple days old. She was in such bad shape after she gave birth. Her uterus had prolapsed, and she couldn't take care of her baby. So she came here, the baby came here, and all the volunteers would take him. This is going back, 3 years. They would take him on overnight shifts, bottle feed him every 2-3 hours, right? And then he would come back to the sanctuary and be with his mom during the day. And then the next volunteer would go overnight and be bottle fed all through the night. And he is, like I said, he's just turned 3 years old. He is thriving. He is healthy. He is doing great. And so is his mama. His mama did not like us when she came here, but she loves us now. She comes running for kisses and attention. So the miracle that of her actually I didn't think I'd ever see this day. I thought she'd just be one of those kind of skittish, off in the corner animals, but she's, as you can see, not like that at all. She's kissing Courtney right now.
Yeah, and of course it wasn't her fault. She had been used as a breeder at a small local farm. And, you know, she had only known like the conditions that she was rescued from, the people that went to pick her up after negotiating with the farmer. They have seen, you know, documentaries. They have been to actual slaughterhouses, and some of them are, you know, activists that have been to rescue animals. And even they were taken aback and appalled by the horrific, filthy conditions. And Karen didn't mention, maybe she was trying to keep it a little happier, but Esperanza and Suerte, the farmers, were getting ready to feed them alive to their hunting dogs before somebody stepped in. So, you know, it's just, and this is at a small farm. This isn't even some big factory farm. So, not only that, you know, not only had she been abused and treated so horribly, but her breed, she's a black belly Barbados sheep, and that breed of sheep is known for being extremely skittish and shy. We've had a black belly Barbados sheep in the past, and none of us ever pet her. She's kind of like Julio, like our other potbelly pig, who might come a little close, might take a treat, but, you know, we can just tell that they're very skittish and nervous. So we would never be like, just let me pet you, you know. We just let them be shy. So I think when we had to put Angel down, that was the first time that any of us had ever pet her, because she was sedated. And, you know, it had her pain relief, and, you know, she was out of it. So at that point, we were just sitting, saying goodbye, and we're like, oh, we can actually pet her. So we kind of thought, especially Esperanza being that skittish, shy breed that had known such abuse and had such a horrible life before coming here, we thought like, oh, we're never going to pet her. That's fine. We're glad we can save her and give her a good life. But now, as you can, you know, see, she is actually,
Miracle baby.
Yeah, just the sweetest, pure love.
So, got one more little December incident, and then that will conclude our live stream. So again, you know, we mentioned we've had a lot of rain this winter, starting out that way. Thelma and Pepper stay in a coop. They usually go out into the yard during the day and then go in the coop at night, and there's a heat lamp and everything. But this particular week, it was really rainy and muddy, so we were kind of just leaving them in the pen. But then Michelle came out one day late in the afternoon, and they were just out. They got out somehow, soaking wet, in the rain, out in the yard with all the other chickens where they are not supposed to be. Happy ending to that story. They went in the house. They got dried off, heaters, and we have resumed normal operations with those two, and they're fine. So that's it. Wait, why do you have a funny face on?
Because I think that have been me that left that gate open. I'm not sure.
Mistakes happen.
I've been replaying that incident for
Mistakes
a while
happen. It's not a big, you know, they're fine.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
things
it could have been
happen.
bad, but luckily it wasn't. So it's just a learning opportunity for all of us. Sometimes, just yesterday, you guys saw on the live stream, I was talking about everybody had a little bit of a naughty morning yesterday. The one thing, I didn't shut the gate. I was just grabbing something, so I didn't shut the gate completely tight.
Yeah.
Princess Buttercup just nuzzled it open and made a run for it. But luckily her bestie Elliot was here, and he went and grabbed her. But, you know, sometimes we just do little things, and now it's just a reminder to be like, okay, let's make sure everything's latched. Let's make sure we locked XYZ.
Yep. Yeah, you kind of have to be diligent with things, because there is a lot to do. There's a lot to remember. So like, I always like, if I go in and out, I just always make sure I like lock gate. I always just make sure I do everything, maybe a little extra, you know, you might think, but it's so like, I just know how my brain works. Like, I don't want to forget something, or I don't want to, you know, say like, oh, I'm just going to go over here real quick. And then I'm like, oh, I forgot to close that pen behind me. And I'm over in ADD land doing something completely different, you know? So they're fine. You know, it was just a bad, there was like a really raining like crazy, and Michelle came out, was like, what are they doing out here? But they're fine. And like I said, there's a lot to do here. There's a lot to remember. So you just kind of have to, you know, do your best. That's what we do. We do our best. All of these animals are happy. They're healthy. They're thriving. They receive the best care they can. We will do anything for them. So with that is our 2023 year in review. I think we all kind of thought like, oh, this year was kind of quiet, but, you know, looking back, it wasn't. Like I said in the beginning of the live stream, it's just something's always happening. So it's just like you deal with the thing at hand, and then you just move on to the next thing. So to take a moment to go back and reflect on everything that we all did together as a team, as a family with these beautiful animals. It was actually a really nice gift to like go back and reflect on it. So if you've tuned in today, I appreciate it. If you guys watch any of my live streams, I sincerely appreciate it because, you know, I like to go on the lengthy side and be a little goofy, but we appreciate every single one of you tuning in. It's for 5 minutes, the full set, Esperanza. Stop that. You have anything you guys would like to add before we close out?
Just Happy New Year. Thanks
New Year.
again.
Happy New Year.
Thanks for tuning in.
And we'll see you again next week. Thanks for watching.